March 4, 2003. A Coast Guard officer named Diego Ramirez was running a routine patrol off the coast of Venezuela. Fog everywhere, visibility near zero. Then, his radar picked up something. A freighter, massive, just drifting. No lights, no engine sound, no radio response. He called it in. No one claimed the ship. He boarded. The deck was completely still. No crew, no movement. No sign of struggle, just silence. He moved deeper into the ship, and then he heard it. That sound. Thousands of them, moving in the dark. When his flashlight hit the floor of the cargo hold, he dropped it. 1,000 venomous vipers. Alive. Agitated. Covering every single surface, and 11 men who had been on this ship just 6 days ago were gone. Not a single body, not a single trace, just the snakes. This is their story. Welcome to Dark Dossier, where the world's most disturbing mysteries are finally opened. To understand what happened on that ship, we need to go back to where this story really begins. Puerto La Cruz, Venezuela. Small but busy port city. The kind of place where nobody asks questions, where cargo moves in the middle of the night, where ships disappear and reappear, and nobody bats an eye. This city had seen everything, or so they thought. The ship had a name, La Estrella Negra, the Black Star, a 200-foot rusted freighter, built in 1974, registered in Panama. On paper, it was a simple cargo vessel, transporting industrial equipment between Venezuelan ports. Nothing unusual. Nothing suspicious, at least, and that's what the document said. Now, the crew, or men, not strangers to each other, most of them had worked together for years. Their captain, a man named Hector Vega, years old, 30 years at sea. Quiet man, serious man. The kind of captain who ran a tight ship, no pun intended. His crew trusted him completely. His family said he called home every single night, without fail, until the night he didn't. The last confirmed sighting of La Estrella Negra was February 26, 2003. Leaving Puerto La Cruz at 11:47 p.m., cargo hold reportedly empty. Destination, a port 340 miles away. A journey that should have taken 18 hours. They never arrived. For 6 days, nobody reported them missing. Think about that. Men vanished at sea, and for 6 entire days, not a single authority was notified. The question is, why? Who knew they were gone and chose to stay silent? We'll get to that. But first, there's something about that cargo hold that doesn't add up, because the Port Authority record said it was empty. The ship's own manifest said it was empty, but 4,000 Vipers don't just appear from thin air. Someone put them there, and someone knew exactly what was on that ship. February 26th, 11:47 p.m. La Estrella Negra leaves port. 11 men on board. Night is dark. Sea is calm. Everything completely normal. Captain Hector Vega makes his usual radio check at midnight. Signal confirmed, all clear. The crew settles in for what should be a routine 18-hour journey, but somewhere between that midnight, radio check, and the moment Diego Ramirez stepped onto that deck 6 days later, something happened. Something so sudden, so unexpected, that 11 experienced sailors left behind absolutely nothing. No distress signal, no emergency flare, no overturned furniture, no signs of struggle, just gone. Now, the Coast Guard investigation begins. Diego Ramirez, still shaking from what he saw in that cargo hold, files his report March 4th, 2003. 7:43 a.m. He writes, "Vessel found drifting, 40 nautical miles off the Venezuelan coast. No crew present. Cargo hold contains large quantity of live reptiles. Species unidentified at time of writing. Engine running. Navigation lights off. No distress signal was ever transmitted." Read that again. Engine running. This ship wasn't broken down, it wasn't sinking. The engine was running perfectly, which means the crew didn't abandon ship because something went wrong mechanically. They left, or were taken, while the ship was fully operational. Think about what that means. Investigators board the ship fully. What they find makes seasoned Coast Guard officers physically ill. The Vipers. All 4,000 of them are not in cages, not in containers. They are loose, completely loose, moving freely through every corridor, every cabin, every room, the kitchen, the sleeping quarters, the captain's cabin, everywhere. But here's what nobody could explain. Among 4,000 live snakes, investigators find 0 snake bites on any surface, 0 venom traces on the walls, 0 dead snakes, every single one, alive and unharmed, as if someone had placed them there, very carefully, very deliberately, after the crew was already gone. This was not an accident. This was not a smuggling gone wrong. Someone used this ship, and someone made very sure that whatever happened to those 11 men would never be found. Investigators had one lead, just one. Small detail, so easy to miss, that the first 3 teams completely overlooked it. On the wall of Captain Hector Vega's cabin, scratched into the paint, with what appeared to be a fingernail, were 4 words. 4 words that would change the entire direction of this investigation. We'll get to those 4 words, but first, you need to understand something about this port, about Puerto La Cruz, and about the man who actually owned La Estrella Negra. Let's talk about the man who owned La Estrella Negra. His name was Armando Castellanos on the surface, a legitimate shipping businessman, nice house, nice car, nice family, respected in Puerto La Cruz, the kind of man who shakes hands with politicians, the kind of man who donates to local churches, the kind of man nobody suspects. But investigators found 3 things about Armando. First, La Estrella Negra was the only ship he owned. One ship, one route, same 340-mile journey, back and forth, for 6 years. No expansion, no growth, a businessman who never grew his business. Second, his bank records showed large cash deposits every single time La Estrella Negra completed a journey. Not wire transfers, not business payments, cash, always cash. Third, and this is where it gets dark, Armando Castellanos had reported the ship missing on February 27th, one day after it left port. But he never told the Coast Guard. He never told port authorities. He told one person, a private number, unregistered, untraceable, and then he went completely silent. Investigators brought Armando in for questioning. He was calm, too calm, answered every question without hesitation. Yes, he owned the ship. Yes, he knew the crew. Yes, he knew Captain Vega personally. But when they asked him who was on the other end of that private number, Armando Castellanos looked directly at the investigator and smiled, just smiled, said nothing, and asked for his lawyer. That smile haunted the lead investigator, a woman named Sofia Mendez, for years, because, in her own words, and I'm quoting directly from her 2009 memoir, that smile told me everything. He wasn't scared, he wasn't nervous. He smiled because he knew we would never find them. Sofia Mendez was not a woman who gave up easily. Years in Venezuelan law enforcement had solved cases that entire departments had abandoned. She became obsessed with La Estrella Negra, worked at nights, weekends, holidays. Her colleagues told her to move on. She refused, because Sofia had found something that nobody else had noticed. Remember those 4 words, scratched into the wall of Captain Vega's cabin. Here they are. They were already here. They were already here. 4 words. Think about what that means. The captain, a 30-year veteran of the sea, in what may have been his final moments, didn't write a name, didn't write coordinates, didn't write a distress message. He wrote, "They were already here," which means whatever boarded that ship was already on it before it ever left port. Sofia had a theory, and it had 3 parts. Part 1, the Vipers were loaded before departure, not after, before. hidden somewhere in the ship, while it was still docked. Part 2. The crew knew something was wrong, but couldn't turn back because someone on board was making sure they kept moving. Part 3. And this is the part that made Sophia's hands shake. The ship's final GPS coordinates, before it went dark, placed it not on its registered route, but 80 miles off course, heading toward open ocean, toward nothing, no port, no land, no destination, just ocean. So now we have a ship going nowhere on purpose, a crew that vanished without a trace, 1,000 snakes placed with surgical precision, an owner who smiled when asked about it, and a message scratched by a dying captain. That raises more questions than it answers, but here is what broke the case open. 6 months after the ship was found, a fisherman 200 miles away pulled something up in his net, something small, something that should have been at the bottom of the ocean. A waterproof bag, inside, a notebook, Captain Hector Vega's personal logbook, and what was written inside changed absolutely everything. The notebook, here was pages, written in Captain Hector Vega's handwriting, every page, dated, timed, detailed. This was not a casual diary. This was a record, a deliberate, careful record, written by a man who knew he might not make it back. The first 30 pages, routine log entries, weather, coordinates, crew updates, normal, unremarkable. But page 31, February 24th. 2 days before departure, everything changes. Vega writes, "They came to the ship tonight, 3 men. I did not recognize them. Armando was with them. They went into the cargo hold for 2 hours. When they came out, Armando told me the hold was empty. It was not empty. I could hear them, moving in the dark. I said nothing. I am afraid of what happens if I say something." Read that again. February 24th, 2 days before the ship even left port. The Vipers were already loaded. Captain Vega knew, he was scared, and he kept moving anyway. Page 38, February 26th, night of departure. We are being watched. There is a man on this ship I do not recognize. He is not part of my crew. He came on board with the cargo. He has not spoken to anyone. He stands at the entrance of the cargo hold, and he watches us. Armando told me his name is El Custodio, the keeper. I do not know what he keeps. I do not want to know. El Custodio, the keeper, a man, sent specifically to guard the cargo, an unknown, and living on that ship with 11 crew members who had no idea who he was. Page 43, February 27th, 2:17 a.m. This is the last entry, and I need you to read every word carefully. They are opening the hold. All of them, El Custodio and 4 others I have never seen. They came from somewhere on this ship. I don't know where they were hiding. The snakes are being moved. My crew is being taken to the lower deck, one by one. I am writing this from my cabin. I have locked the door. I can hear my men. They are not screaming. That is the worst part. They are completely silent. Whatever is happening down there, they are not fighting it. I don't know why. I scratched something into the wall, in case someone finds this room, in case someone finds this book. They were already here. They were always already here. This ship was never ours. God forgive me. I brought my crew onto this ship. I brought them here, and I knew something was wrong, and I said nothing. That was the last entry. February 27th, 2:17 a.m. The ship was found. 6 days later, engines still running, 1,000 Vipers still moving through every corridor, and 11 men gone without a single sound. Now, here is the twist that Sofia Mendez uncovered. After 3 years of investigation, El Custodio was real. His real name was never confirmed, but Sofia traced him through port surveillance footage to 7 other ships, 7 other vessels. Over a period of 11 years that had all been reported for smuggling exotic wildlife. All 7 had crew members who vanished, not died, not arrested, vanished. Men total, across 7 ships, across 11 years, all gone, all silent. And Armando Castellanos? He was arrested 6 months after the notebook was found, charged with wildlife trafficking. Served 4 years, was released in 2009, 4 years, for 11 missing men, for 32 missing men total, for an operation that had been running for over a decade. 4 years, complete silence, 3 full seconds. He was never charged with anything related to the crew. Because officially, no crime against the crew was ever proven. Officially, those 11 men simply disappeared. So, here is where we stand. A ship found drifting with 4,000 venomous vipers, a crew of 11 never found, a captain who knew something was wrong and boarded anyway. A mysterious man called El Custodio, linked to 32 missing sailors across 11 years, an owner who smiled when asked where they went, and a justice system that gave him 4 years. 4 years for all of it. Now, I want to give you my take. Because this case has stayed with me long after I finished researching it. I think Hector Vega was not a bad man. I think he was a scared man. A man who needed money. A man who told himself, just this one trip. Just look the other way. One more time. We've all been there. Maybe not on this scale, but that feeling of knowing something is wrong and staying silent because the cost of speaking feels too high. That feeling is very human, and it cost him everything. But here is what I cannot stop thinking about. Page 43, 2:17 a.m. Hector writes, "They are completely silent. Whatever is happening down there, they are not fighting it." Why were they silent? Why did 11 experienced sailors not fight, not run, not scream? That question has never been answered. Not by Sofia Mendez, not by any investigator, not by anyone. And El Custodio was never found, never identified, never charged. Somewhere out there, he is still walking, maybe still working, maybe on another ship, right now, standing at the entrance of another cargo hold, watching another crew that has no idea what is coming. As for the 11 men of La Estrella Negra, Hector Vega, and his crew, their families waited. Some are still waiting. No bodies were ever recovered. No official cause was ever declared. Their cases remain open, unsolved, forgotten by everyone except the people who loved them. This is the part of these stories that never gets easier. Not the mystery, not the conspiracy, but the ordinary people caught inside it. Men who just wanted to do their job, go home, and live their lives. They never got that chance. So I'll ask you, what do you think happened on that lower deck? Why were they silent? And who is El Custodio? Leave your theory below. Because sometimes, the people in the comments see things that investigators missed. Before you go, I want to tell you about another ship. Same waters, same era, same route. Found under almost identical circumstances. But this time, one crew member survived, and what he described makes the story of La Estrella Negra look like the beginning, not the end. That story is coming next week. If you don't want to miss it, you know what to do. Hit subscribe so the algorithm doesn't bury it before you find it.